Okay, good morning students. Welcome to the next installment in our lineup of videos. We've done the VAT calculations document and the VAT explanation document. So this is now another way in which a VAT question can be asked you through the VAT table. Now, what is the VAT table test? The VAT table test whether you can do VAT inclusive, VAT exclusive, and VAT itself calculation. So can you calculate all of those amounts as well as working with your markups to calculate the cost prices and the selling prices. So there's two sets of calculations that you're going to use here. One to calculate the VAT inclusive and exclusively, but you also need to go back to those markup ratios that I've given to you. Can you remember we had markup on cost and we had markup on selling price? That was the two methods that we used, the two different calculations. So the markup can be either on cost or on selling price, and you should be able to use those formulas to calculate any missing amount in the table. Now to do this, we first need to understand the flow of the amounts from start to finish. So how do we get ultimately to the price that the customer is going to pay inclusive of that in the shop when they go to Spar or to wherever it might be? It starts off with the cost price. So the supplier of the goods will pay for the goods to have the goods, or to make the goods if they make it, if it's a manufacturer. So that's the cost price of the goods. He then wants to make a profit when he sells the goods. So he's going to mark up his goods. The markup we know must be either on cost price or on selling price. So the question will tell you if it's a markup on cost or selling price, and they will give you the percentage. Once I've added the markup to the cost price, I will now have the selling price before VAT is added. So selling price excluding VAT, before VAT. Then we're going to add in the VAT percentage. And once we've added in the VAT percentage, this will be the price that the customer will ultimately pay for it in the shop, the selling price including VAT. So that's just the flow of the transactions to get to the end when the customer can buy the goods. Cost price, add the markup on cost price or on selling price. That will give you the selling price before VAT, excluding VAT. Then add in the VAT amount. And then lastly, selling price including VAT after VAT is added, inclusive of VAT. That is the price that the customers will pay. Now to do these calculations, to work between cost price, markup and selling price, you will use those formulas that I've given you as the markup calculations. So use the cost price and selling price markup calculations. You can keep that sheet with you for this example, so you can go and fetch it and then use that as well. But when we get to the VAT amounts, we're going to use a simple formula that you've probably done before in maths or in somewhere in your career as a student, the what you want over what you have principle. Hopefully some of you have heard about the what you want over what you have principle. It's a very useful calculation to use when you're trying to find amounts that have been left out or missing amounts. Now when we use this, what you want over what you have, I want you to use these amounts. I assume that for this example, we're going to use VAT of 15%. So selling price before VAT will have a value of 100. Then we're going to add in the VAT of 15%. And once we've added in the VAT of 15%, that's going to give me the including amount of 115, 100 plus the VAT. So exclusive before VAT is 100. Add in the VAT of 15%. Once you've added those two together, you'll have the inclusive of 115. So if you have an amount, let's say the amount is X, and you have this amount, you have the amount before VAT, then you have 100. If you then want the inclusive amount, for example, you want the 115. So you're going to take your amount of X. What do you want? I want the 115, so I'm going to times it by 115 over what do I have? I was given this amount, so I have 100. So take X times by 115 over 100 to find your missing value. Now I'm going to use this principle and the markup principles in this example. I've given you a table over here. Some of the amounts are in there, and then there's missing amounts through from 1 to number 15. I want to find all of those missing amounts. and we're going to use my what you want over what you have principle, as well as my markup on cost and markup on selling price principles. So let's see if we can find the missing values. Okay, so we'll do this line for line. I'm going to start with the first line. Let's see what we have and what we're missing, and therefore what we need to do to find it. We were given a cost price of 5,000, so we have the cost price. We were told that the markup of 20% on cost will be used. We're missing the selling price before VAT. We're missing the VAT amount, and we're missing the selling price including VAT amount. So we're going to see if we can find this. Because we don't have any one of these three, we cannot now use our what you want over what you have principle. The moment you have one of these three, you can simply use what you want over what you have to find any of the other ones. It should be straightforward. Okay, for these ones, when we only have a cost price, so only have a markup, we have to use our markup calculation to get to the missing amounts. So I have the cost price, I want the selling price. I'm looking at my markup on cost calculations, and the markup on cost is 20%. So how are we going to do that? We're going to take the value that we have 5,000. The markup is on cost, so it says we must times it by 100 plus the markup over 100. So 100 plus 20 will give me 120 over 100, and it will give me the selling price of 6,000. So now I have number one. Number one is equal to 6,000. The second amount that I need to find is the VAT amount. Now, because I have one of these three, I can simply use what you want over what you have in these values over here to find the missing amount. I have number one, it's 6,000. I'm looking for number two. So you have to use the amount that you have. So I'm going to use the 6,000 that I've just calculated in number one. I want to times it by what I want over what I have. What you want over what you have. I want number two. Number two is VAT. So I want the 15. What do I have? I have number one, so I have the 100. So I'm going to take the 6,000 times what I want. I want 15 over what I have. I have number one, I have the 100. So times by 15 over 100 to give me the 900. So now I have the VAT amount. Once you have two, you're going to simply say before VAT it was 6,000, VAT is 900. If I add those two together, I get to 69, my inclusive amount. Or you can still use what you want over what you have. I have the 6,000. For number three, I'm looking for the inclusive amount. So I want the 115. I have 6,000. I have number one. I have the 100. So times by 115 over 100 will give you the same answer, 6,900. Okay, let's take the next line. The next line, we don't have the cost price. We know that the markup is 10% on cost. This time we have the selling price before VAT. So now we have the selling price and we have to work our way back to the cost price. We also don't have the VAT amount or the inclusive amount. Okay, so let's have a look at number 4 first. We're going to use our markup calculations. The markup is still on cost, so we're going to use our on cost formulas. I have the selling price, but I do not have the cost price. So I want the cost price. Go and look at what your formula says to calculate the cost price. We're going to take the selling price times by 100 over 100 plus the markup, because we are using the on cost methods. The markup is 10%, so 100 over 110. So we're going to take the 2,750 times by 100 over 110. Therefore, we'll find number 4, the cost price is 2,500. For number 5 and number 6, we can simply use what you want over what you have, because we have one of these three. We have the 2,750, so we have the 100. We want for number 5 the 15. What we want over what we have, so 15 over 100. Take the 2,750 times by 15 over 100 and you'll find the VAT. Same for number 6. I have the 100. I want the 115 for number 6. So 2,750 times by 115 over 100. And you will get your inclusive amount for number 6. Next one, number 7, 8, and 9. We don't have the cost price. We do not have the selling price either. but we know what the markup is. And unless we have one of these two, we can't calculate the other one. So we're going to have to find a different way now of finding the cost price. We do not have to do it in order. You can do it in any order. So for this scenario, I'm going to start with number 9. Okay, so for number 9, let's see if we have any of these three. Yes, we have 600. So we have the 15. What do I want? Number 9, I want the 115. What I want over what I have the 115. I want the 15. So I'm going to take the 600 times by 115 over 15. What I want over what I have. So therefore number 9 will be 4,600. Then you can simply say 4,600 less the VAT will give me the before VAT amount of 4,000. Or you can do what you want over what you have. I have the 600, so I have the 15. Number 8, I want the 100. So times by 100 over 15 will also give you the 4,000. Okay, so you get the idea of the 100 and 115s and the 15s, how it works, what you want over what you have. Okay, the last two lines include the percentage calculation, so we haven't done one of those two. There's one for cost price and selling price, so I'll show you how that works. Let's do the second last line. First, we have the cost price. We do not have the markup. We do not have the selling price. So if the markup percentage is missing, you need to have both the cost price and the selling price to find the missing amount. So unless you have these two and these two, you cannot calculate them. You need both the cost price and the selling price to calculate the markup. So again, for this line, I'm going to start at the back. I'm going to start with number 12. I want number 12. I want 15. I want the VAT. What do I have of these three? I have the inclusive amount, so I have the 115. What do I want? I want VAT, so I want 15. I have inclusive, so I have 115. So I'm going to take the 3450 times by 15 over 115, and that's going to give me my VAT amount. So number 12 will be 450. I can then say 3450 minus 450 will give me the 3000, or I can say what you want over what you have. I want the 100, I have the 115, so times by 100 over 115, you'll also get to the 3000. Okay, now for number 10, to calculate the markup percentage. I now know that the selling price before VAT is 3000, and I know that the cost price is 24, but I want to find the percentage to calculate the markup, and it's on cost. They must tell you whether it's on cost or on selling price, because that's important for the calculation. Now, to do the calculation, you need to know what the profit is. How do I get to profit again? The selling price less the cost price is going to give me the profit. The selling price minus the cost price is going to give me the profit. So I've calculated number 11 is 3000. So selling price is 3000. The cost price is 24. So I'm going to say 3000 minus the 24. It's going to give me a profit of 600. I'm going to take the profit and I'm going to put it on what? The markup is on cost price. So I'm going to take the 600 and put it over the cost price of 2,400. I'll just repeat that. I need the profit. I've calculated number 11 is 3,000. The cost price is 24. So to get to the profit, I'm going to say 3,000 minus the 24 to get to the profit of 600. And to calculate my percentage, I'm going to do what they tell me to do. The markup is on cost. So I'm going to put the 600 over the cost. So the 600 over the cost price of 2,400 times by 100, because I want the percentage, is going to give me 25%. Okay, last one. Now the markup is going to be on selling price. But again, I don't have the cost price and the selling price. So I need to get to the selling price first. But because I have the VAT amount, I have one of the three. I can use what you want over what you have to solve the rest. So let's look at number 15. I want the selling price including VAT. So I want the 115. I have the 900 Rand. I have the VAT amount. So I have the 15. What you want? I want the 115. I have the 15. So times by 115 over 15 is going to give me the 6,900 for number 15, the inclusive figure, minus the 900 to give you the exclusive figure of 6,000, or what do I want? I want 14, so I want the 100. What do I have? I have the 900, so I have the 15. So times by 100 over 15 will also give you the 6,000, whatever you choose. Okay, now lastly, we need to calculate the markup percentage. To do it, I still need the profit. To get to profit, I'm going to take the selling price minus the cost price. I've calculated number 14 was 6,000. So the selling price is 6,000 and the cost price is 5,000. 6 minus the 5 is going to give me the profit of 1,000. I'm going to now, for this one, put it over the selling price. Why over the selling price? Because they tell me the markup is on selling price. So the profit of 1,000 is now not going to go over the 5,000 like in the previous example. That's cost price. I want to put it on the selling price. The selling price is 6,000. So 1,000 over the 6,000 times by 100, because you need a percentage, will give you 16.67%. And that's it, people. That's how you solve the table. So make sure you can calculate forwards and backwards. Use your markup calculation. Use what you want over what you have. You should be able to find any missing amount in this table, the VAT table.